Mr. Hern.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've listened, and I know we've been trying to move this along and let the Democrats talk. And I'm sure you've got somewhere probably next to 100 amendments left. And, boy, this is great. And Mr. Ranking Member, I really respect you a lot. You know that. And you keep referencing Bill Clinton. I knew Bill Clinton back when he was the governor of Arkansas. And he came up here and had a little trouble. But, what he did in '96 was pretty amazing, even for a guy that was young and was trying to build a business. And you're right. He did get things in line with the help of a guy named Newt Gingrich and others. And he did it in his second term. No, I'm not going to yield. I'm not going to yield. And so I wanted to make sure I got my numbers right, because I'd heard it was over 400,000 government workers he cut, but it was 300,000 plus. I wish we had that same courage today, because now the President of the United States, Donald Trump, is getting beat up for trying to slim the size of government, because Bill Clinton came here with the notion that he was going to right-size government. And Democrats had a hard time at that point in time. In fact, that's why he could only do it in the second term. And then when you look at what happened in '96, and I don't know who supported this. I didn't go back and look at the details, but it was infamously called the welfare to work. And I know you and I have talked about this, and you were one of the people that supported that there should be work requirements. There should be right-sizing government. We shouldn't be the government for all. We should make sure that people have personal responsibility and accountability. And that's really what got in line. And I'll be honest with you, we all reference that time. And I often say that in our lifetime, we've seen a balanced budget. We've seen the point when we had 4 years in a row. You're exactly right. And we did have a thing in 2001 that stopped this thing called 9/11 that really created a real problem. And so, I think it's also, none of us on this side of the aisle were here in 1996 when that happened. I don't think anybody was here in 2001 even. But it is worth noting that there was a lot of courage that happened then. And as far as the top 1%, they pay 42% of all tax revenues in this country. And so the question's been asked and the answer has not been given. What is exactly the definition of fair share? I mean, is it all? I mean, what is it exactly? If you could share that, and I will yield some of my time to you, sir.
So just to make sure that we have the record straight here, Speaker Gingrich opposed the Bush tax increase, and he opposed the Clinton tax increases. The Republican leader at the time, Bob Michel, supported the Bush tax increase and supported the Clinton tax increase. You're correct. $500 billion of tax increases and then $500 billion of cuts. That was the deal. And it set us on course for a trajectory that I wish we could model in this time. But let's talk about that welfare bill for a second. The welfare bill wasn't just about work requirements. The welfare bill was about providing people with vouchers for education. It was about providing them with support for transportation. And it was about supporting them with child care. Remember, Clinton vetoed the first welfare bill because none of those items were in. Second time around, Republicans accepted them. All of the things that we wanted in that bill that supported incentives for people to be able to work with child care, housing, all of those things we put in there, and that's how we were able to get that bill. But reminder that it was Speaker Gingrich that opposed those tax increases.
So,
Mr. Thompson?
Reclaiming that's my time. Yep. So we have almost $800 billion in child tax credits now. So we are giving money. I mean, to say that we're not giving money to child tax credit is just not accurate. And so I think that I wish we all had the courage. I think my colleague from the chairman of the Budget Committee, he said, we both are culpable in a $2 trillion deficit. I think that would be inaccurate to say that it's one side or the other. We lack courage to make the tough decisions. And there's been a lot said about Social Security. And I admire my colleague, John Larson. He and I have talked about it a lot. We differ on how we approach it, but we should come together in a bipartisan way for the benefit of those seniors, many of us that will be in that age if we're not already, that have paid in our entire lifetime to receive and entitled, the true definition of entitlement in Social Security and Medicare, that they remain solvent. And it's not going to be done in a partisan way. That will never occur in our lifetime that we ever can agree. But in a bipartisan way, we can do that. And it is not accurate to say the president hasn't told the press, and he's told each of us individually, do not do anything to touch Social Security or Medicare benefits or Medicaid benefits to anyone. He has told us this in press. He's told us in the cabinet room since he's been elected. Do not touch it. And we're not going to do that because that's what he has said is the direction of the other end of the Capitol, just like Bill Clinton did back in the day. He wanted to make sure the government was going to do the right thing and it was going to be solvent going forward. And again, I wish we had the courage today as a Congress, as a White House, working together with the Senate, that we could do that same thing. I know you and I agree on this. We've talked about it. Maybe the details are a little bit different, but we have to have that courage for the future of our kids and our grandkids before we all leave this place. And I'm that passionate about it. I have said it. I've signed 4 budgets in a row that's talked about it. I've been demonized for it. I've never said we're going to ever kick anybody off of Medicare, ever. But I said we have got to come together to solve this problem. Everybody that's in Washington, D.C., think tanks on either side, have said that us to do nothing is the worst thing that could happen to those seniors in America. So as we're talking about these things, Congressman Larson, ranking member, the problem's going to be if we do nothing, it's the 17 to 21% cut across the board. I yield my time back.
Mr. Hern, thank you.